My name is Arnold Spirit, but everyone calls me Junior. I was actually born with too much cerebral spinal fluid inside my skull. But cerebral spinal fluid is just the doctor's fancy way of saying brain grease. My head was so big that little Indian skulls orbited around it. What makes matters worse is that having a big head while living on the res means being pantsed or getting my head shoved into a toilet or just straight up being smacked upside the head. So after school, I just stay in my room where I know it's safe and draw. I draw because no matter where you come from or what language you speak, you will be able to understand my art. My teacher, Mr. P, told me that I have to leave the res forever. The res is a Spokane Indian reservation my family and I live on. There is hope for something bigger, but I don't think I'll be able to find that here. Even Mr. P thinks so. After all, he claimed that I'm going to find more and more hope the farther and farther I walk away from this sad reservation. So, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to Reardon, the school for the rich white kids. I'm just hoping that once I finally get there, things will change. From being bullied and hiding in the shadows to having friends and getting a good reason to be able to leave my room. Well, if you can't tell already, my best friend Rowdy is not taking this very lightly. He wasn't the only one. The whole res basically disowned me. But my choice going there wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Her name is Penelope, and she is totally, absolutely gorgeous. Can you blame me for staring at her all day long? When Penelope, my new rich friend Roger, and I went to the 24-hour diner, we had pancakes in Spokane. After eating the pancakes, I was walking with Penelope and she kissed me. Sadly, it was only on the cheek. But it's better than being just in the friend zone. I know a lot of people are stuck there. So, I'll take what I can get. If that means just getting kissed on the cheek in order to stay out of the friend zone, then so be it. I almost forgot. I need to get signed up for activities, and I almost didn't try out for the Reardon basketball team. I just figured I wasn't going to be good enough. Well, I won't know unless I try, so I'm just going to give it a shot and hope for the best. When I made the team, I was thrilled. Being on varsity and only being a freshman, until our game against my old school, Wellpinit High School. I was sick with fear that day. They turned their backs towards us, one by one, all but Rowdy. He wanted to play. Someone threw a quarter at my forehead and it drew blood. But what makes it worse was that not long after that, Rowdy smashed his elbow into my head, and that was lights out for me. Just because basketball didn't go so well, I was still glad to have my grandma's support through it all. She was basically my best friend, and, to be really honest, she was everyone's best friend. Here and there, people everywhere in the res knew her. It wasn't all the perfect family story. My grandma passed away, and she never got to die in her sleep, or of old age, or of a sickness. She died because she got run over by a car. More specifically, a drunk driver ran her over. But, since she was such an amazing woman, her last act on earth was a call for forgiveness, love, and tolerance. She wasn't the only one to move on, if you know what I mean. My sister Mary also left us from an accidental trailer fire. That made everything go from bad to worse. But through it all, I couldn't do it without the love and support of my friends and family.
Some forms of figurative language throughout the story are symbolism when they call Junior an apple on page 131. They are saying that just like an apple, he is red on the outside and white on the inside. Red is another word for Indian. In other words, he's a traitor to them. An additional example is a simile on page 52, when he said, "My nose bled like a firework." He is comparing the blood from his nose to a firework. Furthermore, there is an example of personification when Junior states, "Rowdy stopped screaming with his mouth, but he kept screaming with his eyes," on page 52. So he is giving human qualities to his eyes by saying how Rowdy's eyes are screaming. There are still many more forms of figurative language throughout the novel, but that's just to name a few.